Hey, thanks for tuning in. Today I wanted to share with you something I think is incredibly important that all of us should be practicing on a daily basis, but hardly any of us do, and that is the process of cultivating gratitude. The reason why I talk about gratitude as being so important is that you don't want to wait for life to come at you and for you to automatically respond with being stressed and being anxious and in severe cases being depressed or suicidal in some tragic cases. Instead, what you really want to do is make sure that you're welling up, this emotional reservoir that you have with something that's purposeful. And probably the most resourceful emotion that you could possibly cultivate is gratitude. A couple reasons for this. The first is gratitude makes you more compassionate. And I mean, we could all be a little bit more compassionate to the others in our lives, right? I mean, I certainly have had plenty of moments where I've showed up and been inconsiderate, been bitter to other individuals, and it wasn't even about them. It was just about what I was dealing with in my own internal state. And that's not fair to them, and it's not fair to me. It's no good for anybody. So when I'm walking around with more gratitude, however, all of a sudden I've got more to give. I've got a reservoir of positive, resourceful emotion that can show up as the filter through which all of my actions, my beliefs, my decisions are permeated through. So you really want to be asking yourself, what are the primary emotions that you're experiencing on a day-to-day basis? And most individuals, according to the research, are only experiencing in a given week about 9 to 12 emotions, even though I think there's something like 4,000 words for different emotions that we could be experiencing. Most people are experiencing good, bad, fine, crappy, really crappy, and maybe excited, at one point in the week, as opposed to, all of the different emotions that lie on the spectrum of the human experience. So I mentioned gratitude as something that you should be incorporating because when you start your day with gratitude, you show up differently. You're just a different person. And here's the real reason why I mention this as being so critical. When you purposefully cultivate gratitude, what that means is that when something occurs in your life that might cause you fear or anxiety or whatever else, you already have this emotional resource ready. And so even if there is something that comes to you that causes a little bit of stress, it's stress, but it's stress that is contrasted with this large amount of gratitude you have for the things that are going correctly in your life, right? And how do you cultivate gratitude? Well, I just kind of mentioned it, which is contrast. Contrast will really affect you. If you are in traffic and you're thinking about, how you just want to, take a hammer to the guy that's driving you crazy in the car in front of you or beside you, you're going to lose your gratitude really quickly. But if all of a sudden you can think of, the fact that if you're making more than $35,000 a year, you're in the global 1% of the entire planet, and that you're living in a country more than likely that's got more resources and abundance in it than a great many of individuals in the world are experiencing. The fact that you, if you're watching this video, have got access to technology in your hand or on your laptop that a couple of decades ago would have never have been possible for the people who came before us. So there's opportunities to be grateful all around you. And this is not some positive thinking BS. This is the idea that you should start paying attention to the things that you should already be grateful for so that you don't wait for life to throw you curveballs and then automatically go into the emotional states you don't want to be in. You want to have a resourceful state ready and present, ready to rock, so that when life comes at you, because it is going to come at you, that you're better prepared. I'll leave you with this. Martin Luther King had a really awesome quote that I think about very often, which is, darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. And I really love that metaphor of lightness and darkness, because oftentimes when we encounter a situation that causes us stress, causes us anxiety, what happens is we meet that stress with more stress. In fact, when you dissect what actually happens with somebody who has a panic attack, for example, or an anxiety attack, or somebody who feels they have debilitating anxiety, what's happening here is there's a stressor that comes that causes a little bit of anxiety, But then all of a sudden the person becomes conscious of the fact that they have anxiety, and the anxiety piles on anxiety until it becomes this destructive downward spiral. So that's no good. Darkness cannot drive out darkness, right? So anxiety cannot drive out anxiety. However, gratitude can drive out anxiety. And you can't really be in a state of gratitude and also be in a state of fear or anxiety or depression at the same time. It's just not really possible. Try it. So the reason why I say this is, if you want less darkness in your life, the best way is not to wait until the darkness comes and then try to drive it out. The best way is to fill up with as much light as you can, and then the darkness has less place to come to. So as corny as that sounds, I really think that there's a real nugget of valuable truth in there. And again, practice some gratitude. Simple strategy for you to do this, by the way, something I do every single day as a daily discipline, is spend 5 minutes, sit, have a few breaths, and then I picture a couple moments that I'm incredibly grateful for. This is a strategy Anthony Robbins has recommended to hundreds of thousands of people. Hugely, hugely powerful stuff, because then you're ready, you're primed, you're going into your day with gratitude, and it's a completely different experience. So hope this is helpful to you. Try it out, and I guarantee you'll get addicted to the feeling here pretty quickly.